mean, Eric talks about this, and in my opinion, there's a place where a lot of research needs to be done in terms of when somebody has been taking certain pharmaceutical medications for the past couple decades or so long years, the transition has to really be monitored and really just really practiced on a very high level and very carefully to allow all of those poisons to leave the bloodstream slowly. Because as Eric said, that none of that stuff. For one thing, every pill that you put in your body and medicine and insulin, all that stuff that you put in, none of it is eliminated. Especially none of it is eliminated through the bowels.
Right.
So what has to happen is once you start to get into the mucusless diet, that stuff is going to start to rise up and start getting into your circulation. So the problem becomes when too much of that stuff is eliminated into the circulation at one time. That's when you can have some really serious problems,
yeah.
And that's what's so dangerous. But it's I look at it like that's that karma thing, in terms of whether the laws or not, you still are gonna be arrested.
Right,
if you
right.
do, and
well, it's a temperament too. It's a temperament with transition. Really taking it slow and doing exactly what you need to do every day so that you can be here tomorrow. God told me this week that he was diabetic because he loved donuts and sugar and stuff like that, and but everything breaks down into some form of sugar, and so diabetics are not people who are what I was trying to get over to him is he was blaming it on sugar, on his donut addiction and candy and all that. But there's people that have been diagnosed with diabetics that can't stand sweets.
Right.
It's starches that break down into a sugar, and it comes down to if you got good insurance too.
Yeah.
They have to stick you with some kind of term, some kind of disease that they can keep you strung along.
Right.
So all that's a part of it too. So age is not flying here. Because age is what do they say? 100 years old is adolescence. That's the time that that's your adolescent period at 100 years old. So that's when you just start supposed to be living. When you're 100. So we're nowhere near that, So, it's like we got work to do, and it just takes discipline. It takes scrapping a lot of old habits. That's what it is, Hans. It's a lot of habits, a lot of old habits that we don't want to scrap.
Diabetic is if your gland on the bottom of your stomach doesn't function right. It's called the sugar gland.
Can you hear? Can wait a minute? Say that again now.
Diabetic is somebody when the sugar gland on the bottom of your stomach doesn't function right anymore.
Okay, now that's the information that they say that a diabetic is diagnosed.
That's what doctors told me over in Europe, and that's what doctors told me over here.
Right.
And my wife is an RN.
Okay, and what I'm saying is that what do you eat?
What I eat?
Yeah.
I eat a lot of fruit.
No, I didn't ask you that, Hans. I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you that, Hans. I'm asking you what.
Diabetic or not, I eat a lot
I'm
of fruit.
asking you what's your diet like, Hans?
My diet?
From childhood to now, I don't know if you've changed a little bit, but
yeah, that's
what?
Because I grew up as a refugee over in Germany. There was no vitamins and no food.
Okay.
You eat what you got.
Okay, so now what is your diet like now? What is a daily Sunday dinner like?
Well, daily Sunday dinner, scoop of mashed potatoes, and I like some vegetables, and I like a balanced diet.
Okay, now
No, that's it. I don't like that word. Balanced diet. I don't.
A balanced diet.
There's no such thing as a balanced diet.
Well, as Professor
No such thing as a balanced diet.
He didn't mention any meat. Now you're saying you're meatless.
No, I stayed off of it because I knew what you would have told me.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what we wanted to hear.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
okay.
So
Mashed potatoes. Okay. I mean, potatoes, white potatoes.
right.
And the meat and Hans. Hans, I don't know if he had a little wine with that dinner. I don't know, Hans. He's from the old country, so we
Right,
know
so-
he still likes to, have his little nip,
Right.
So yeah, but
that's the test, and nobody can
yeah.
stand
Look at
up
Hans.
to
He's
that
saying, "Okay, yeah, that's the truth."
Right.
You gotta let me know when your birthday is. How I'm gonna bring you a birthday present, man. You gotta let me know what day. Well, I can hit you up.
April 1st.
April
April
1st.
1st.
Okay, well next year. Wait.
Yeah.
And then he'll know, since that's April Fool's, he'll get a bottle with some juice in it, but it'll say some liquor on the outside.
On the outside.
It'll be April Fool's,
Right.
So yeah. Okay, so where were we?
Yeah, so we were pretty much.
You were into the protein piece, right?
Well, that's the next thing here I wanna get into a little bit, is have a book here. Lots of times you hear us reference things like talking about, do you know the history of the protein myth or the vitamin theory, or a lot of these things, and we just say that, and which basically puts it on you to go study the history and refute it for yourself. But today we're gonna do you one better. I'm gonna read you out of a standard history of the food of man book, the origin of the protein myth, and you can decipher for yourself how rational is this idea that we have been presented as fact. Really, nobody tells you, gives you the option of protein being a theory, even though the history of it definitely will I think prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it's a very, very shoddy theory at best. Nutrients. This is page 171 in Food of Man, second edition by Lowenberg, and this is a chapter named Man's Knowledge of Nutrition, page 171. Nutrients in food. The search for protein. Although a scientist discovered the gas called nitrogen in 1772, it was not known that this element had anything to do with nutrition until 1816. At that time, a French physician and teacher of physiology known as Francois Magenti published some of his research findings. When he fed dogs single foods such as sugar and water or olive oil and water, the animals died. Magenti concluded that animals needed nitrogen in the diet. He knew that both body tissues and many foods contained nitrogen, and he suggested that the nitrogen of the tissues probably came from food. The nitrogen-containing foods were called albuminous foods. Just 22 years.
Say that word again.
Albuminous.
Yeah.
Albuminous.
And that's a word that people should outline when they
right.
have
Yeah.
that outline.
Yeah,
Because you'll see that.
and look it up.
You'll see that through other books through years of different people. Right, you'll see the same thing but different language.
Right.
Different.
Right.
Different
Yeah.
wording.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Right. Food. Mucus. Just 22 years after Magenti's work, a Dutch chemist, Mulder, gave the name protein to the nitrogen-containing material in these albuminous foods. The word protein comes from the Greek word meaning first. but protein does not take first place in nutrition. No nutrient is first because nutrition requires that there be an adequate amount of a number of nutrients. However, protein is essential, and children stop growing when it is not supplied in their diets. In many countries today, especially those dependent upon cereals and root crops, good quality protein is lacking, and the health and vigor of the people are impaired. Chemists began to identify the various constituents or building blocks that make up different proteins. These blocks are called amino acids. Some 22 amino acids have been identified in food. Some of these amino acids can be synthesized in the body from nitrogenous material supplied in the diet. Others must be performed in food. These are called the essential amino acids. Now that right there, that's very, very curious. Chemists began to identify the various constituents or building blocks that make up different proteins. These building blocks are called amino acids. Some 22 amino acids.
Essential.
Essential,
That's
right.
That's the operative word.
Right, essential. And some of these amino acids can be synthesized in the body from nitrogenous material supplied in the diet. Others must be supplied by food. These are called essential amino acids.
Okay. Well,
let's see. We have another interesting thing down here. Burper King, right? The amount of protein needed by animals or man can be measured. The amount of nitrogen is determined in the food that is eaten, and similar analysis for nitrogen is made on excretion. If what is consumed equals what is excreted, then there is obviously a balance and the diet is adequate. If what is consumed equals what is excreted, then there is obviously a balance. A balance. There's that balanced diet that Hans alluded to, that he's into, the balanced diet. So what goes in should come out, I guess. If more is excreted than is being eaten in food, then the body is losing protein, and more must be eaten to meet the body's needs. Very problematic indeed. Using these basic methods, rapid advances in the knowledge of proteins have been made in the last 50 years, but research is still continuing on the amino acid makeup of food, the amounts needed, and the various ways in which protein foods may be combined in the diet to provide all the amino acids. Although foods of animal origin are the best sources of the essential amino acids, recent studies have shown that a judicious mixture of different plant proteins can be made, and that mixtures of cereals and other plant foods can be prepared that are nutritionally adequate. So, the foundation of nutrition and how basically how everybody is taught to think without questioning. No question.
right.
There's no question about that. Dead animal flesh is king. It's necessary. We like it so much that we're gonna make sure our science makes it necessary. It's a necessity to have this death-giving substance. And
well, I mean, it comes down to us not knowing anything about ourselves. So if
Right.
you don't know anything about yourself, you can be told anything. So I mean, that's where it all comes down to. The blind leading the blinder, And so that that's the real problem, and because all of the things are gonna get, the veil is gonna be pulled up off of this thing when people start deciding that they want answers.
Right.
They want to know what is happening when their nose is running. What is that stuff? You know what I mean?
Right.
What's the makeup of that? Until
yeah.
people really want to know about themselves, but people aren't important enough to themselves yet.
Right.
We're ourselves, our well-being is way down on the list as far as our priorities. We're into jobs and making money and trying to be a part of the social landscape and the so-called family structure, and then with the health piece.
Yeah, that's way.
We don't want to know about ourselves and about blood, and,
right?
and the air and the science of breath, and we don't want to know about how the body operates. We care less about that, and that's
don't earn my taxes for something. And there's somebody supposed to be doing that. I pay taxes. I don't have time. I do not have time for that.
Somebody is doing it. That's exactly what it is. And we've put our trust in those caretakers of the body, and they've been people that haven't give a damn about their bodies. So they don't know anything. I mean, they, like I say, once the medical profession is great for trauma. Once you have a major stroke or a massive heart attack, and they jump into action, they're great. I mean, they just show out. I mean, they do their thing.
Right.
The problem is chronic illness. They have no clue. And we've said this before. Like, they can tell you about if you're sitting up with an aneurysm and or some internal bleeding, man, that's their job, Jack. I will be there,
Right.
If I'm in a car accident or something, I'm bleeding profusely, but take me to them.
Right.
See, the sick healing the sick,
Right.
But well, no, they don't know nothing about that,
But that's a good way. I mean, that's the best way, I think, to see that, the sick healing the sick.
Yeah.
What I mean? Because that's necessity is the mother of invention. Right.
The sick never really get healed. It's an illusion. The sick the sick getting medicated.
Right.
And stimulated to believe like, they're all right, but they're basically just high as hell. They're just high.
Yeah.
Let's keep them high. Let's keep them high. So that's where that is. And then you see like a lot of the doctors and people, I mean, they're just in the worst shape of, I mean, So,
yeah.
I mean, and we know like one that big baller, big shot caller.
Right.
He's a doctor.
Right.
So, and if you look at him, you'd be like, whoa. But
why they call you doctor when you're so big?
Hey, man, but
be careful, or you're gonna be in pieces.
But people won't question it. They'll go to him and take his advice
right.
all day. You dig? So, I mean, we forgot to talk about if anybody wanted to call in.
Oh yeah, 513-749-1444. Go ahead and call in if you have some comments or questions and dialogue, and go ahead and take care of some of these PSA.